Okay, we'll just like give it a little bit of time, you know, but hey, we're officially live, so this is where I try to find it on here, and then I never can, but I don't know where to go and find it.
Girl, don't ask me, I've never done a lot.
Yeah, so.
I'm old, I guess.
I'm older, so I never know. I feel like it should pop up, but it just doesn't, so I don't know. Sometimes when somebody makes a comment, then I can see it. But hey, welcome to Talk It Out, Talk It Out, Talk It Out. My new phrase is going to be where there's real conversation with real impact.
Okay.
You like that?
You like that?
So hoping everybody's having a great Sunday. I can see people jumping on, so I can see that we are officially live, and maybe I can catch it on here. But so today I've got my good friend who used to who used to be my provider to take care of me, and then she picked up and left me, but then I tracked her down in cardiology and saw you there for a little bit, and you left me again. And
sorry.
But luckily, you know, I can call her a friend, and I can text her and be like, hey, this is what I've got going on. Or what you got? So Jill Wilson.
Hello.
Let's get the little tiny hands. Yay. Jill is here with us today. We were supposed to go yesterday, and she chose something better.
Like a fun day.
I'm just kidding. And so now we're here today. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell my fans out there a little bit about yourself.
My name's Jill. She knows my history, but I've been an NP for 13 years-ish in different settings, mainly primary care probably. But mental health was a big part of it when I was there, a lot in general. And I personally dealt with mental issues, you know that. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of dabbled in other areas, cardiovascular. And then I did inpatient hospital, urgent care, and I'm currently doing wounds.
I know. And so how long have you been doing that now? Because that's all fresh and
almost
new,
a year.
Right? Oh.
Yeah. Certified, though, like in August is when I took my boards.
Nice.
So those were super stressful. I didn't know what I was getting into, I don't think, when I first started, but yeah, I'm happy I did it.
Yes.
I think all my roads kind of led me into that path.
I think all my roads have led me to this path. Even I'm not really for sure, but you know, whatever.
I do
still growing.
But, I do think that we end up where we're supposed to, and every spot we stop in life is taking us in a direction.
Absolutely. So. And you don't always figure that out, or in my opinion, because I was talking to somebody at church this morning, and you know, talking about how people coming on here and telling their testimony or just their story of whatever they want to share. And so I was like, you know, I can go like in my late teens when I had major depression, into my 20s, you know, all of that stuff. Like that was something, of course, at the time you're thinking, no, it's not. But now at my almost 52 years of life, I can see all of that. So.
Well, and there was a stigma too, I think, for a long time, even when I was younger, about mental health stuff. Nobody talked about it, period. And if you did, there was something wrong with you.
Yeah, I mean, I had to, and I've said it here before plenty of times, I had to convince my parents that there was something wrong with me. Like, I need to go see somebody.
Something's not right.
Something is not right. And
that takes bravery, though, coming out and saying those things.
But then and then my kids, though, I do think it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like a hereditary type thing, because when they were young and what little things that they would say, I would be like, don't, you know, I mean, it would hit me a different way than normal. And I mean, even at young ages, my kids had to go through a type of therapy or put them on medications because I thought that was the right thing to do, or that was what was suggested, or whatever. And honestly, back to Mel Robbins, listening to her, she was talking about how she was the same way. And she went through some major depression after her first kid and things like that. And she's like, and then your kids grow up and you try to protect them and let's get on some medication or whatever, but they didn't know how to deal with it because she was never taught really well how to deal with it. So I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm still on something. I've tried to not
nothing wrong with that.
No, and I'm good with that.
I am too.
Because I've tried being off of it, but I do think that this where I'm going, where I'm at right now, like is making me feel better, that I mean, I may try it again. I mean, I don't know, but
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big part of it.
Otherwise, I've been on it for basically half my life, which I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I think I need it.
Well, I would tell my patients and myself that sometimes it's like treating a blood pressure problem. I would take a pill for that every day.
Right.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
So, okay, if I need something for my noggin.
Right. And this noggin
and some people can't come off of them, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
But some people end up needing something forever.
Yeah. And I'm to the point to where, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you're talking about genetics, though. Like, I mean, there's a genetic component, though, to mental health. Or, like, personalities in general. Like, you can be like, well, they're a carbon copy of their mom. Like, they're OCD or whatever. So there is a big part of that. I mean, upbringing, too. Yeah. But, I mean, like, my kids are polar opposites. Like, they have the same gene pool. But they act very differently. So you never know which kid you're going to get.
Right.
Gets what.
That's true. And I think the reason why my parents, I mean, you learn to hide it. In my personality, I mean, I'm a sarcastic kind of gal, in case you haven't. I know, it's crazy. But, I still compare myself with Robin Williams or something like that. You're always trying to think of something funny or do something or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're good at it.
And then people think,
you do get good at it.
Man, she's great, she's good. And I go home and I'm like, oh my God, my life sucks.
I remember the first time I was telling somebody I had depression or like even like self-image issues, they were like, really?
Absolutely.
They're like, you don't show that. And I'm like, I learned early on how to put a face on to do that.
Absolutely.
And you do wear masks. Now I take that mask off a lot and I expose myself.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And my nose is just running because it's just running. But, again, listening to Mel Robbins, I can't say it enough. Like, she just said so much stuff that was just so spot on.
Talked, and I haven't read her book yet, but I've listened to a couple podcasts, and there's just been like even snippets of things that she said that's even stuck. So I can't wait to actually read the full book, because if it's a couple of those talks of just like already ingrained things, I'm really interested to start it. Yeah,
the total let them theory and the 5-second rule. Like I can't. So right now I even wrote it down because I can't remember. I just started the take control of your life. But this is more for like a coaching session, I guess, is what I'm learning. But
you're going to coach me?
You don't want my coaching. But so I forget, like maybe 6 different people that she is doing coaching sessions with and like recorded them.
She is personally like that, the Mel Robbins is? Mm-hmm. Oh, how'd the 6 get lucky to get that, I wonder.
Yeah, right. So, and it's been a while. I don't know how old the book actually is, but I just expected it to be like the other 2 books, and it's not. And so, of course, in the beginning, it was like, you can download this, it's not a book, but a download like a
workbook or something?
Yes. So that's it. Nailed it.
Homework, basically.
Yes, a workbook, that you can either do it while you're listening to it or just after the fact and invite friends. So, of course, I start just sending messages to people, not knowing that it was more of a coaching versus hearing her story type stuff, but I still think it's good.
Yeah.
Because I think it's still going to be,
where was that book at in the line of the other ones? Is that a more recent one
This one was either during COVID or right after COVID.
So was it before Let Them or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This is probably one of her first. She's got and then 2 other books that I'm like, yeah. So I'm heading to Florida next week and I'm going to download her stuff. I'm going to listen the entire time. Before you know it, I'll be in Florida. So guys, I can't tell you enough. The other one that I don't know if you ever, Ed Milet, have you heard of him? Mm-hmm. No. So he's the one that really got me, but The Power of Just One More. That was my first Audible.
Just One More sounds familiar though.
It's not, it is a bar, but that's not what I'm talking about. But The Power of Just One More.
I've probably seen it because I've always looked up those kinds of books, like self-help kind of things.
I never have. And I am so
I'm a reader though, I'm a nerd.
See,
from early on, even as a teen, I was looking for Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. Do you remember those?
Yeah, because I've got probably 2 at home.
They made you feel better though.
They do.
People's stories about their issues.
But those are short stories, so I can do those.
Well, and
the ones where there's
on.
10 pages in one chapter, I'll be like, what did I read 2 sentences ago? My brain doesn't do well with that. So, and oddly enough, Jeff was listening to this book.
Now?
No. he was actually, I don't know, I guess it's been a few months now, we got to talk it out, like, and just my excitement, like that's all I think about. So I just really am so excited.
Which is awesome.
Even though I don't know what I'm doing, but whatever. So we got in the truck and he had been listening to it, and I mean I was sucked in immediately. It was Audible, so I was just like listening, and oh my gosh. I finished the book before he did.
He brought it to you, huh?
He did.
Wow.
He brought it to me, and I still don't even know if he ever finished the book or not, but I did. And so then I got on his podcasts. And
he has a podcast?
Ed Milet's got podcasts, yes.
Okay.
And he is another very inspirational, he used to be in a foster home, just all sorts of things that he's got. And so that's what started it. And then I don't even know where Mel Robbins came into place, to be honest. I don't even remember. I don't really know. But now I'm like, now she's my girlfriend all over.
So you know who she is.
So she'll be on here one day, just so you all know.
You never know.
I mean,
She does a lot of podcasts, though, with other people, so I've noticed.
She does. Probably not this fancy of a
studio.
You
never know.
But, so amazing. So I started listening to one podcast in between before I started this book. I can't multitask very well. I've got to, like, once I'm in there, when I get in the car, I mean, that's what's playing is
every
the book.
time.
Every time.
That's awesome.
So,
well, now I'm on the road, for my wound stuff now. So,
and it definitely makes things.
I'm learning Spanish
with Babbel.
No, Pimsleur actually. It's been the best one to learn. But anyway,
what can you say?
Oh, I ain't good enough to do that. I know I work with Spanish speaking people, and I'm like, I'm not ready to actually practice in front of people, but I can understand what you're saying.
I got you. So you can speak all you want, but I got you. But, so we were like, so what are we going to talk about? I'm like, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about. Cause literally I fly by the seat of my pants, for the most part. And so the whole reason why I wanted to bring her on here was a post that you did, I think back in October-ish, maybe.
Oh, yeah. You sent me a message and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. I post those things and I don't think that they reach people like that. You don't know that they're touching people. And then you're like, wait, what? What are we talking about?
You got me.
Sent it to me. I can't remember what it was about either. Do you remember now? Because you sent me a screenshot of it.
I think I have. Well, I don't know if I saved it or got rid of it. I can't remember, but still can't tell. I mean, I know
what was it about.
I don't know.
Well, I think it was the one where depression doesn't always look like what you think it looks like?
It could be.
I think it was, actually, that it's not always people looking sad.
Yes. and that we were just talking
unkempt and face down.
Yes.
Like, it's actually very rarely that. I think that was one of them.
Yeah.
Which we were talking about. I was a perfect example of that. No one would have guessed that I was sad, depressed, or didn't like myself at the moment. I hid that very well.
And I don't know.
People that are depressed are really good most of the time.
Yeah.
At hiding.
And I don't know how. I mean, I was to the point where I wanted to take my life before too.
Which is why suicide is one of those, like Robin Williams, for example, is like, it's a scary thing. Or Chester Bennington. I don't know if you're a Linkin Park fan, but he was a musician that they showed pictures of him days before he committed suicide, and he looked happy.
Perfectly fine.
And he was wealthy and famous, and you just never know. You can't tell by looking at somebody what they're going through.
No, absolutely not. And that's why, and when my kids were younger and things that they would say, I'm like, I would take that. I mean, maybe I take it too serious, but I just know how I was, that whenever I hear certain things or just, sometimes I feel like I can read them.
In that scenario, I don't think there is a too serious, in my opinion. My oldest had I saw things that I could tell that she was dealing with the same things that I had dealt with.
Right.
And we ended up reaching out to her pediatrician, and she recommended a psychologist. And she was very at first like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't remember what triggered it, but then one day she was like, okay, maybe I need to. And we didn't have to go for very long because he taught her
how to handle
to cope.
Right.
And those were things that I was not taught whenever I was a teenager or young adult even.
Right.
That it was a temporary thing that she had to go through. But I took those small things that she was saying and that I was hearing seriously, because I knew if you don't fix this now, you're going to end up 41 years old just now figuring your crap out.
Go ahead, say it.
Your shit out. and really feeling like you know who you are. And I feel like I would have done a lot. I mean, who knows what I would have done in my life had I known myself 20 years ago. I don't know.
Absolutely. And I mean, and one of the things I can remember just whenever I would go through it too, and what they would tell, my kids, a journal, which I'm getting, because like, not that I have a journal, but if things cross my mind or like hearing these books and I go back and jot notes, like, or if something's hit me that day, I am finally getting in here and just like making notes of some sort. So I do think that it's good, even if you don't know what you want to write down, if just whatever you're feeling, just write it. Mm-hmm. Just getting it off your chest and onto something.
My counselor had, and I journaled on and off for a while, and I've had a hard time, and part of it, and I'll be honest, is still me thinking about someone else reading it, and I stifle what I'm really feeling.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not really doing myself a service because I'm lying on the page to some extent, because I'm not writing truly what I'm feeling. I wish I could get to that point, and I would like to still practice that at some point.
And I think that's exactly what I'm like you. I mean,
well, I think the electronic world might help because you can lock them. Like, I guess you could get a real diary like old school, with a little key.
Hide it somewhere.
Yeah, but with apps now, and I've looked at them, they've have ones that have like passwords and all that stuff that I think I would be more likely to be honest, and it probably would help me more. But
and I can't remember where I heard it. If it was just one of the books had been listening to or whatever, but it was just saying it's still best to write it.
I believe that, which I have an iPad with an iPencil. So I feel like I could probably, see, these are things I think about when you're laying awake at 1 a.m. and you can't sleep, that I should do that.
Yeah.
So maybe I will now that I'm talking about it,
See? We're talking it out.
Yes,
I'm talking about what we're going to do.
Journal.
Yeah. So, I do, because, and the thing is with the audibles for me, even though that's best for me to listen to it and in my car in my time, I'm like, ooh, that's a good point. And I'm like, oh, I'm driving. I can't take any notes,
Talk to your Siri. You got
so I do. I talk. Then I dictate to notes,
That's smart.
This date, whatever time frame I was at. So, and I don't know that I ever go back and look at it.
It's there though.
But it hit me that if I wanted to, I could go back and look at it. So I have been able to work around that because.
Well, another thing I think sometimes is I always felt, or you compare yourself to others where you're like, well, my story is not nearly as tragic as this person.
Absolutely.
Like they're going through legitimate hell and I'm not having that many issues.
Right.
So like, why am I sad?
Right.
Like, I don't have a reason to be that sad.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of today, in my opinion.
No, 100%.
People not coming out with depression or whatever mental health stuff because they're like, I shouldn't be sad, or somebody else just lost 3 family members in a car accident and they're seem to be fine.
Right.
So why do I have the excuse? So yeah. I think that's a big part of it too. Your story is your own story and you can't compare yourself to somebody else.
That's right. That is 100% so true. So one of the questions that I had on here was, let me see if I can read my writing. So what is one thing that you do for your mental health that you wish more people would do or practice or whatever? Like what's something what do you do for yourself? I mean, we may have already kind of talked about it too, but
I think the biggest thing that I've come up with in the last, because I dedicated myself to counseling like in 2020, and it didn't have anything to do with the pandemic at the time. Actually, kind of just all happened, I think, for a reason.
Right.
That counselor fell in my lap, and she was by far the best one that I'd had. But as we progressed though, and she learned my personality, and especially like me getting overwhelmed, putting my masks on and not dealing with it, was every day, but especially when I'm stressed or overwhelmed, is taking a moment for yourself. Hopefully I don't get emotional.
It's okay if you do. There's a tissue right there. I've already,
It's taking a moment, no matter what that is. If it's deep breathing, which sounds cliche, but it works. A walk, talking to somebody, whatever it is, stepping out, even for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, doesn't matter. It truly resets where your brain is though. Mm-hmm. And I didn't believe her when she told me that. I'm like,
whatever.
Like I'm not ready to have a panic attack at work and you're telling me just to stop in the middle of it and walk away for 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'll try it. She would give me homework, which that's what I needed.
Right.
But it worked.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, she knows what she's doing.
This is why
I guess she's a
paid the big bucks.
professional. But I think taking those moments of overwhelm, and for most of us, I feel like in today's world, it is every day there's overwhelm. But finding ways to ground yourself, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be the cliche things like deep breathing or even exercise, something to disconnect yourself.
Yeah.
Most of us don't do that.
No.
Or try to learn about yourself what that is. Because I didn't know what that was for a long time. What's that look like for me? And most of the time for me, it was removing myself from where I was at. So my husband walks. He'll just go outside.
I'm out.
Everybody has their own thing though.
Right.
So.
And I mean, and there's times where like, it just seems like things are so good too. And I'll go through a phase where I just shut down.
Well, especially I feel like if you're good for a long period of time and then something blindsides you or whatever, I feel like it's almost more of a gut punch sometimes and you fall harder.
Yeah.
But I think being self-aware of that fall is the biggest part of it. I think honestly that maybe that comes down to the point is being self-aware and listening to yourself.
Yeah.
Because the hardest thing I had to learn was she told me, she's like, every time you feel something bubble up, that emotion is there for a reason. It's coming from somewhere. Listen to it. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, it's coming from somewhere. Like right now. Like, I mean, I could probably, when I get home, think about why I got emotional about that, but it's coming from somewhere. So.
And that's the next thing. And it's okay. So like but you're like me, I'm like, I may get emotional. I mean, and I've done this by myself and have brought tears to my eyes just talking about things. And that's one thing too, is let it go. Like, let it do what it's doing.
Well, and then it's not the same thing with the let them. Just like, let yourself do it, man.
Right.
Like, let yourself feel the emotions.
Yeah.
And let other people feel those.
That's the Mel Robbins, let them, let me.
Yeah.
And then you just, I mean, and I'm telling you, go listen to Mel Robbins. And there may be other books. Like I've actually brought some things. I don't know if you've heard of Lisa Turkis. So she's another
all
one.
kinds of new stuff.
She is, again, it's one pagers.
I already like the title.
So yeah. So Seeing Beautiful Again. Yeah. And it's 50 devotions. And I still haven't made it through the book, but it's because it's set perfect for Cassie. I can read a page or two.
See, I would be conducive to that. I love to read, but they're like, as a busy parent, working person, like sometimes it is hard to really be able to do that. So I would probably like that.
Well, and you're probably going to like these if you've not done these too. So anyways, this is Lisa Turkis. I mean, I'm just showing you what's worked for me and it could for you. So Seeing Beautiful Again. And she's actually got some books that I want to listen to her Audible. But The Tears That Taught Me.
Nope, haven't seen that one.
Open it up.
Is it already going to make me cry?
Probably. And then Blooming Bear. And this author, Morgan Richard Oliver, I don't know how you pronounce her name. But like little one-pager things I've actually shared, like even on my...
So these are just like little blurbs. I would like this probably too.
Yeah, you would like both of these, I'm just saying. So
you have to send me those. I won't remember them when I get home. So, but
those are the ones I can like buy and read versus, like the long chapters. I am not good at that. But yeah, so.
I'm sure I'll have to look into them.
Yeah, I was going to say something a while ago, and now I can't remember what it was.
It'll come to you at 1 a.m.
Yeah. I'll text you. Hey, Jill, I remember. I remember what it was. But yeah, so that was, that's just anything you want to,
I wore my shirt today.
Yes, I love it.
It's okay not to be okay. Because one of you think you sent me 2 topics that you were just going to mention what was the second one?
The other one was what?
That's why I wore this, because this is what go ahead, read it. I'm bossing you.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'm bossing you.
You're not my provider anymore.
I'm sorry.
What's something you've recently realized about yourself that changed the way you see the world?
It's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to let someone else not be okay.
I think that's what I was even going to say too, is, people think that mental health, it's so, girl, boy, let it go.
But you start to have that mindset though about the world around you too. And you become more patient. kind of like what Mel Robbins, like in the grocery store thing, what she was talking about. She's like, I can't change it.
Right.
Like, but I always think about, I don't know what that person
is going
that I just honked at is going through.
100%.
Because there's days that I'm not myself, and you think you hide it, but I had in the fall when I had to put my dog down was one, but then something happened before work that day that I had been really upset, and I got to work, and the patient I'd been seeing once a week for at least months in wound, and I thought I looked fine. And at the end of the visit, she said, "What's going on with you? You don't seem like yourself." And I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? You have some good intuition," because something did actually happen this morning. But she sensed that. And I mean, I don't know. I just feel like every time you interact with somebody, you just never know what they're dealing with.
So do you think, so obviously not everybody in this world is an empath.
Mm-hmm. Which I am a big one. So it's painful at times.
It is.
It's very painful at times.
And it's great. It is. I mean, it sucks, but yet it's like good. Like it's.
I don't know if you follow any of the empath things, or there's books out there. I have a couple I haven't read yet, but they treat it like a superpower, because you realize it really is something not everybody has the ability to do, is to truly be able to connect or feel like, I feel really bad for you. People say that, but do you really feel it? Like, no, I feel it.
There is
I can feel it. Sometimes people probably think I'm crazy. Like,
Absolutely.
As a provider, where I cry with them and they're like, "You just freaking met me, you weirdo." Like, what?
No, 100%.
But you can't just turn that off.
But that's what makes you a good provider too, in my opinion, because
thanks.
I mean, the first time we met, it was just like this, like we'd known each other forever.
All right. But you're special though, because I wasn't like I hope I treat every patient like that.
Absolutely.
But in some instances you connect with people differently.
And that's true. And there's nothing different about that. It's just, that's just how it works.
My girls. In general, it's why you have friends and someone else you're like, don't really want to hang out with you.
Yeah. My girls were the same way with you though. They just felt so comfortable and so like they could just be them, you know.
That means a lot to me. Well, thanks.
So we love you.
Aww.
Even though you left us.
Well, and to grow up, to kind of go off of it's okay not to be okay. Sometimes that means forgiving yourself a lot, and being nice to yourself. So when I had to put my dog down, I was not expecting the level of depression that I had, like, at all. And I was pretty low, and I was hard on myself. And then there was one day where I can remember the day, and it was like that was when my brain flipped its switch, kind of, where I didn't do anything all day. I was laying around. I probably cried like 3 or 4 times. I don't know. And I made myself get up and vacuum. That's all I did that day. Laid around and I vacuumed. But I was nice to myself about it. And I said, but I vacuumed. But I did it.
Right.
Now, a month later, I was cleaning out closets and worked for 3 hours. But sometimes you have to actually just be okay with not being okay and what that looks like. Because sometimes that means you're not going to do the things that you want to do.
Right.
Whether that's taking a shower or doing the dishes or whatever. Most of the time, that's what it shows up as.
Yeah.
So.
And that, going back to Neil Robbins, because so the 5-second rule, that was the whole thing is you got to count backwards. You can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because 6 comes after 5 and 7 after 6 and
I like that.
so forth, right? So I've been using this past week, because I'm a snoozer. I like to hit the snooze button. I know, like once or twice, and one of the things to start out with a 5-second rule, something small, was just when that alarm goes off, don't snooze it. Count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then get up.
All right. Or you need one of those alarm clocks that runs off your nightstand.
Or just have a dog that pukes in your house too. That'll get you out of bed all the time.
I like that though.
But
I'm gonna have to read. Get
you
that
are.
One too. I think it's already in my list.
It's so all week I was like early to work every single day.
Look at you.
It was.
I like to work out in the mornings and I snooze a lot, so I'm gonna end up. Maybe I'll try that.
So that's my next thing. So then I was listening to one of her podcasts with Dr. Chatterjee, I think was his name. And he was talking about how he does, because in my head, I work out all the time. All the time.
Then when they start to ask me how many days a week.
Well, let's see. crazy in my head about 24/7.
Life happens.
But so he was saying, so same thing for him. So he gets up and he knows his routine, goes in the kitchen, making a pot of coffee or whatever, and it takes like 5 minutes. So during those 5 minutes when he's in the kitchen, PJs, whatever he's wearing, does a 5-minute workout.
Well, like I've watched like that. Well, you know, I've lost a lot of weight over my life, and I've dealt with legit now looking back eating disorder problems, and learning those kinds of things. Like 5 minutes is better than 0 minutes.
Yep.
2 minutes is better than 0 minutes.
Yep.
That makes a huge difference because most of the time your 5 minutes turn into more minutes.
Yes.
So just taking those small wins because you'll build on them.
Absolutely.
Usually.
And so that's what I've been doing. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. And then I've even been letting the dogs out because usually Jeff is up with the dogs and letting them out. Been doing that. And then I go to, and it's not like really, I mean, I have a set for myself, but I set a minute on my watch or my whatever timer, and I'll do like wall push-ups. And then
I like
done with that, and then I'll go to sitting and you know, but it's each a minute, but it's 5 minutes that I do it. And
well, that's how you build good habits, though. That's
did it
even
every day
those-
this week.
Just the whole like
Today's the only day I didn't do it, but I'm like,
I vacuumed today, like just that whole thing. I
Yeah.
did 2 minutes today or
Yeah.
whatever. You should still celebrate those small things.
Oh, I mean, I've felt great. That's why I was even looking, knowing you were coming this weekend. I was so excited for that, and you know, and today in church, today's just been I don't know, it's just been a good day.
I love
It's been a
that.
good weekend.
I love that.
And keep watching Talk It Out Grow. Ladies I hung out with at Shopalooza. I know it's like all about you too, but Shopapalooza went there, just went and helped, gave some time, and just really met some people and you know, paths crossed for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And same with these ladies that I've hooked up with, and it's just been good. And y'all, I'm over 1,100 people on my Facebook page. I was like at 800 for a while, and now I'm over 1,100.
That's
and
awesome.
like so many people have joined, and I hope that
It'll grow.
it keeps growing.
No.
You go, yeah, you were gonna blow this up. Now listen, my highest one's been Jody Gerald's. She still has had and still has views, 7,200 views.
Nice. Do I know this person?
She probably not, but she had breast cancer. She's younger than me. And went through.
She probably has a good story. Then.
She does. You should go and watch it.
Maybe I will.
You should. So, anyways, back to you.
Let's talk about you. One thing I tell my kids every day, though, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, is the voices in our heads are usually very mean. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're not like that for everybody, and if you are, you're very. If they're not like that, then you're very lucky,
right?
Because most people's voices are not nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I started telling my kids. My counselor taught me is if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, why are you saying it to yourself? That's a hard lesson to learn, though, because I say it like on repeat to my kids, and they're still not. I hope they're starting to get it, and their inner monologue is changing. Right. But that's a big thing that I tell them every day. If you wouldn't say it to somebody else, then don't say it about yourself.
Yeah.
That and the forgiveness thing, which she made me one of my homework assignments, my counselors, was that she told me that, because with the eating thing, where if I felt like I had a bad day physically or whatever, that I had to go in front of the mirror and stand there and look at myself and tell myself that it happened, I forgive myself, I'm moving on. And it sounded stupid at the time. Huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
It sounds silly, but those little things are what truly made me get over that hump of changing my thought process.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so recently you did a post in your prom dress.
Yeah. Right. And it was a little too big. I was like, what is happening?
Who is this person?
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about your journey of the...
I can.
I mean, that's up to you.
I mean, I think it's a big part. What time is it? You got to go somewhere.
No, I got Girl, I'm here.
I think it's a big part of where I came from emotionally. I developed a weight problem in elementary school. I got diagnosed with asthma and was on steroids and stuff. So, and then it became a bullying thing. So then it was like the food situation became more mental, and I gained weight. And then I lost weight my freshman year in high school, lost 50 pounds. And I honestly, now looking back, I know it was a good thing, but at the same time, it messed with me a little bit because I was more outgoing because of it. And I felt like people were treating me differently because I was thin. but I was acting different, and
Right.
I was more confident. And then I regained weight after high school, and then had weight loss surgery in 2011. And then since then, I've maintained like 100-ish pound weight loss. More recently, lost 60, some that I gained back, with the help of exercise. And I started GLP-1 too. But the emotional aspect of weight stuff is just, and the mental part of it is huge. And I mean, I don't know if everybody deals with those kinds of things or
Right.
not with what you're doing every day to your health or whatever. But it is a mind game, to say the least. And it was a struggle, because honestly, that was probably the first thing that I started seeking counseling about, was like body image stuff, actually, is where it started. So.
And you've posted the pictures. I mean, and that's like, I think that's just awesome not everybody would probably necessarily show that journey.
Well, and sometimes it literally will sit on a post that I've started for like half hour thinking, do I share this one? And is someone really going to care? And honestly, I sometimes think about you, actually, when I shared the progress one, is that you sent me that message from the screenshot of September. And you just don't think about the fact that maybe my story and my words are impacting someone.
All it needs to hit is just one person. And
then there was a while back, I don't remember what it was about. I think it might have been actually about depression or something. And there was people that were posting underneath there. And some of them that weren't even my patients were saying, because, if someone shares something on Facebook about they're having a down time or whatever, I'll just type something really quickly. And one of them was an old high school classmate that I'm not really friends with. And she sent me a message and said, I'll never forget what you put on one of my posts. And she's like, it literally made me want to try to do differently. And I'm like, huh. Like, I don't remember what you're talking about. I don't even remember what you're talking about, but okay. So it made me want to keep reaching out, because a lot of people haven't dealt with it, one, and they don't know how to deal with it. I mean, I just don't know how to deal with some stuff.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's a learning curve.
But it's also easier, in my opinion, too, for me. I'm a fixer, so I like to help other people more than
the
probably
Fixer. You should listen to The Fixer by, oh shoot, you'll have to listen to it. But it'll make you cry, probably, because of the words in the song.
But then that also makes me mad that I'm such a fixer, because you can't fix it all. And that's
the let them not be okay. Let them not be okay too. Yep. It's that's hard though.
It is hard,
because you do want to, especially if you are an empath, you want to make everybody else feel better, and sometimes you do have to step back. Especially when it comes to people that you really love and care about, like your kids. That's a hard one, I feel like. And my
absolutely.
Kids are only 11 and 8, but they're getting to that age where I'm having to step back. I can't tell you what to do in this scenario.
And I'm telling
you might learn the hard way, but you got to figure it out.
And even the older they get, I mean, number one, you never stop worrying about it, but some things you just have to
let it go.
Let them. And so it's funny, because I don't know if I talked about it last week to myself.
I said it somewhere.
I'm talking out in my head with my dogs, but that it's just so funny, because when I'm thinking let them, I'm thinking I'm the only one that thinks it. Let them. But really they're probably like, let Cassie. Let her.
I'll step back.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, I'm sure people are just let them. But I mean, it has made me feel more, I've never felt as secure, as what's the word? Just comfortable with myself in my work environment, in my,
when you start to get that way, and I think you feel more connected in general to the world around you. At least I do anyway.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you're kind of in your shell of yourself, you really are kind of just blocking everything else out around you. I don't know, I feel like in general, you connect more to humans whenever you feel better about yourself.
And I mean, and like you said, it's crazy how even strangers, that you just meet them and immediately. I mean, like the time when Jeff was in the hospital in 2015 and this older gentleman was there, I thought it was his wife that was in the hospital, and come to find out it was his son with stage 4 colon cancer.
Aww.
And, but saw him there every day, and, by himself, sweet, tall old man. And one day, my sister and I were playing cards, in the waiting room, and he came in there and he had a bag, and he's like, would you girls like some pound cake? The nurses bought me some Panera pound cake. They brought it in to me, whatever, and I've got nobody to share it with. And then he sat down, and like within 10 minutes, we were just like, we knew each other forever.
It goes back. You never know what someone else is going through.
Absolutely. And so then the first thing he said was, and I don't do well in hospital situations anyway, but he's like, would you go with me to go see my son Jared? And he was in ICU like Jeff was. And I was like,
well, that should make you feel pretty special.
It did, though. I mean, it did.
That's
and
a human connection that not everybody could.
Yeah. And so then he's like, do you care if I go see Jeff and say a little prayer over him? I'm like, absolutely. Come on, let's go.
That's a good story.
And so the rest is history, because I don't know if we exchanged numbers at that time or what had happened, but that was 2000. So that was my big life-changing event was with the whole Jeff ordeal. And people were in the right place at the right time, for the right reason, whatever it may be, because I still keep in touch with a lot of those medical staff members. And I still use them when I've got a friend. I do too. Yeah. I'm like, listen, so-and-so's in ICU. If you got
connections, you should take
100%. Just recently using you and Dr. Matt Hunsaker. Were you there when Matt was there? I can't remember if that was
the skin thing.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
But and that was one of Jeff's favorite providers too. But he was just so personal.
Sounds familiar.
But I still had his number, and I'm like, listen, and he's like, can I call you? And I was like,
yes,
you absolutely can.
Please. Free consult.
And I'm like, listen, I use my connections. I use my contacts. I don't try to abuse them, but I use my contacts as to where if I've given you my number, I say the same thing. Like, there's something I can do.
If I give it to a patient, I'm like, I don't give it to everybody.
Reason. Absolutely.
So, and I trust that you're not going to call me at 3 a.m.
Right. And I actually had one of the nurses. She was going to be off for a couple of days, and she had been there from day one with Jeff, and woke me up and said, here's my personal number. You need me, I'll be right here. I'll come and get you. I'll do whatever you need. And I was like,
that's special.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know.
That's special, making those connections. So
I'm pretty special.
You are. I agree. You and your girls are some of my favorites. Truly.
But yeah. So anything else? Anything you got? I wish I could totally get on here to see if we've got any questions from anybody or people's chiming in, but I can never tell.
Don't ask me. I don't know how to look on there.
Yeah, I don't even know where to.
Do you have any thoughts or questions or anything for me specifically?
Look, there we are.
Oh,
look at us.
Look at us. I can't see your face though.
Well, it's because I'm hiding right now, so I was trying to find us. Oh, I see Janet Jackman, so my mama is listening. Hold, please. Oh wait, comments. I love Apple, but this is my first.
Oh wait, like you don't have, is it an apple?
It is an apple.
Okay.
So I'm still learning from that. So, she said, it's not all about me, but talk to God. You go through issues so you can grow and help others who are worse than you, often you.
I think it goes back to your path takes you where you're supposed to be.
100%. So looking at Danielle Yarber, so she's another one that our paths crossed with Color Street. I was under her team of Color Street, but watching her lives, you just get people, and you're like, we could be friends.
We would be friends.
We could do this,
we would be total friends.
So Danielle Yarber, if you're still listening, that's how I felt with you, with Color Street. I was just, I would message them like, hey, I've known you forever and you don't even have a clue who I am. But Color Street was another journey. I did that for 4 years. Who'd have thought? And this is still Color Street.
I was going to ask you.
It is. Actually, I have it over. You can see a little hump there.
It's pretty.
But I've been treating myself to a mani, but these are my real nails. And so I wasn't doing acrylic or any of that stuff. So I started doing that, but then I'll put Color Street on top of it when it's growing out because I don't make time for myself to go get my mani done. So anyway, but,
every day you need to take time for yourself.
I know. Well, I was going to yesterday, but my person that I like to do my nails was not available until afternoon. And I was like, I'm going to Shopapalooza because I was like, I'll just try later in the week.
You deserve to treat yourself.
I do. I do deserve it.
Yes.
So I don't really have any other questions, and there's really no questions on here. I don't know. I don't even know if anybody's really still listening.
This was good for me to talk it out, though, I feel like.
Girl, it's a therapy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, it's constantly in my head. In the beginning, I've got notes from, not in this notebook, but another one of just, girl, Michelle and I have come up with, we were going to do like fun skits and just, just different things to make people laugh. Really. Yeah. So, tell your story. We'd like to make it tiny hands. Yeah. So she saw my tiny hands and I really wanted you to be like, hi.
I like that. I should have. Maybe next time. Come back.
And what started that was, for some reason, Jeff had a Barbie that was behind, because this wasn't us before here. So we would just sit up at the counter and just do stupid stuff. And he had a Barbie and it was missing its hand, but it was laying next to the Barbie. And from number one, obviously somebody left it. I'm hoping.
Well, maybe that was
so I saw that hand. I was like, tiny hands. So that's what started it. And then Jen bought those hands and has left them with me. But, yeah, so this is a good therapy for me. Like, you don't realize it. And everybody's like, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do?
You made me think about things. Like, I can admit that I'm currently in a faith crisis, actually. So even these kinds of things, I think, are being brought to me for a reason.
You're welcome.
So I've struggled with that for years, actually, and I still haven't come out on the other side. But I want to, if that makes sense. I don't know if you've ever had an issue.
Do you care to elaborate on?
Yes. Now this where tears might come.
Okay, well, there's a tissue. Let me get that for you.
I was raised.
This is why I like lives. And I'm like,
you have two! You got so excited.
It's little things.
I was raised Lutheran, pretty strict. Every Sunday we were in church. And I liked church in the young, and I did all the youth groups and I talked in front of the church, all those things. And as a young adult, I don't know if it was in college or something around that time, I kind of stopped going. And that wasn't rebellion, I don't think. I think it was more I was having an inner struggle, an inner war, I guess. I don't know what the right word is. And then when I did nursing and started to go through there, and that's still, I think, a large part of my struggle, is separating the science and religion. Is I'm so science-based and evidence-based that everything that I do day to day is because we've proven it. Mm-hmm. Scientific facts we've proven. And it's hard for me, I think, to see something that's not touchable, I guess, and provable. So that's where I'm kind of in limbo. And I believe in God. That's not what I'm saying. Right. It's just I get it. In a power struggle, I guess, right now with myself, mm-hmm. I guess. That I've read like every book under the sun about faith crisis. And so, do you ever want to talk about that sometime?
Well, absolutely. Because I mean, that's, growing up, we went to church. But I was one when I hit my teenage years and whatever, didn't, and then, we got married and we were Easter and, mm-hmm. Christmas people. Yep. That's what we did. Or I'd go to, oddly enough, I would go to a funeral or service, and Paul Hicks would, anytime he was the one that was, mm-hmm. Doing the, service, I was like, gosh, I need to go listen to him again, so then I'd go back to his church, whatever. So then off and on, and then 2015 with Jeff hit me, and that was just so many.
So did you take your girls, can I ask, did you guys go to church routinely like when they were little?
We were Saturdays. We were a
couple times a year.
Yes, we were the
that
Easter.
Makes me feel a little bit better.
Oh,
because that's probably, and my husband, like, he is fine with me taking the kids to church and stuff. He wasn't really raised in a church, but he would be fine with it. But I think that's also part of my struggle, is he doesn't really feel the exact same way as me.
And that's hard.
In a relationship, that is really hard.
It is.
It would never split us. I don't have any fears about that.
Right.
But it makes my struggle really, really difficult.
Yeah, I
Because
get
then
it.
my inner monologue is thinking, well, he thinks I'm an idiot, or he doesn't want me to take the kids to church every Sunday, or yada, yada. But he doesn't think those things.
Right.
I made those things up in my head.
But I mean, and I think there were plenty of times that I would, there were times I would go without Jeff. But I mean, for the most part, my girls weren't necessarily, in every Sunday
they're
type
at that age where
thing.
I want to. And every time I go to a church, like the one I go to periodically in Murphy, I cry like every time. My daughter's like,
Girl,
what is going on with you? Like every time you go, like you cry. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm like, I can tell that there's something trying to get through to me, I guess is
Right.
what it feels like. And it just hasn't.
Well, I had that. So, I'm not one to really raise my hands or whatever, but like I have, again, 2015, I mean, is probably where I really started getting into the Christian music. Because to me, the worshiping, I mean, it all gets me, but worshiping, like some of those songs are just like,
I there's all songs too.
oh
my
my
daughter
gosh.
thinks there's something wrong
so
with me.
today, they're the same thing though. I mean, it's in, we were singing the song Gratitude, I think it was, and it talked about, stand up or whatever. And like me and so Jody, the other one, the cancer survivor, like stood up at the same time. And everybody else is sitting down. And this was a full house today.
Do that?
No.
Do that?
And this was
Good
today.
For you. That was your heart telling you
and
to
I
do
was
something.
like, and then I start, like, my brain starts being like, oh, I bet you Jeff and Gracie are like, oh, God. But I didn't care. I don't care.
That's a personal growth thing, though, in general, that you're able to do that.
So
in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Faith and as a person.
So, and I'm still, I'm not the one to come to always talk about it because I'm still learning. Some of my actions, though, I feel are, it's getting me there.
Yeah.
So, but that's
awesome.
Again, the conversation of how do you start a podcast, like you asked me, and I was like, well, we were talking
Here's
about
what
God. And I'm like, well, how fair is it? This is about the conversation. How fair was it? He's like, he forgives everybody. I'm like, yeah, he forgives me today, but then I do the exact same thing tomorrow. Like, how is that okay?
It's probably like, what are you doing?
And she will always, I'm like, you probably think I'm the biggest idiot. She's like, no, I don't. She's like, and she would talk to me and I would get it. And that's where
I think religion is changing in a way, though, that it is more honest in a modern way, because like some of the church that I remember it was very like mask surface. Like you knew that some of the people that were sitting in those pews were not good people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, to put it frankly, like you knew things that they did on a daily basis or whatever. But now I feel like it's more open with modern times where they talk about like faith struggles and marriage struggles and finance struggles and addiction and all those things, where before that was not a topic that was in my world that was ever brought up.
Yeah. You may actually even, because we always, Murdell, and it's, still one of my favorite churches. And it was hard because I love Paul so much, Paul Hicks so much. It was more older folks, no offense to anybody, but it was just time for a change of some sort. So then we were testing churches closer to where we live in Carville. And we've currently been going to Carville First Christian. And just talking to you today, I bet you would probably, Matt Brown is he is real.
Is he young?
He's, well, how are you? You're younger than me.
I'm 41.
Oh, yeah, you way younger than me. Yeah, I'll be 52, girl. He is in his mid to upper 50s. So, but he went to Carville, and he's got a past too, but, he's got a little bit of ADHD, Matt Brown.
Hey, holla.
But I'm telling you, he is you would enjoy him.
Or maybe I'll try it out sometime.
I'll have to give you the information to do that. This is one of his.
Because I can admit that I have been in a faith crisis as an adult.
And I mean, he is, I don't want to read this into our thing. So I stole this from Matt because he reads it every Sunday. And I'm like, every Sunday it gets me. And I'm like, can I have what you say? Because it just hits me and I just want to share it. So
I like that.
That's why. So then I never asked for permission until a couple times after I'd used it. And last Sunday I was like, hey, by the way, I never asked you if it was okay if I like read it on Talk It Out, but I haven't. He's like, it's not mine. I was like, yeah, it's yours. He's like, it's God's. So I was like,
oh, that's a good answer. Pastor Matt Brown.
So I went with, he's actually been on here.
Oh,
He
nice.
was on here too. So, but,
Love it.
no. I don't.
We're always working on ourselves. Though.
We are work in progress.
Yep.
My other mantra I have been preaching to, because I do training at work, and, we provide all sorts of videos, all sorts of tips, all sorts of whatever, but you've got to invest in yourself. And that was my phrase that I had been saying and to them. And then one of the coworkers says, when you become a motivational speaker, is truly what he said, I am buying a t-shirt that says #invest in yourself. And I was like,
you're not wrong.
And so I have been investing in myself.
Yep. And you
it
feel
is making
better
me
about
better.
it. Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah, that
So.
self-care and self-love thing has really
Look at me grow at the age of 50.
way. And it is never too late to do those things.
It's not.
You can live in a hole, I guess, and just stay where you're at, but
yeah,
you're not going to dig yourself out.
Right. And I've had people who have reached out to me after listening to the Let Them and said, I wish I would have had this during my work years. There, one was retired. A current friend is, and I can call her a friend now. I mean, I met her by putting a benefit together, and our paths crossed that way. And she's like, I think we could be friends. I'm like,
one of those.
Exactly. And the rest is history. So that's how it's been. So she had messaged me saying that she was reading it, and she's like, wow. And I was like, how you like it? She's like, I so needed this.
Well, I'm going to get into it then while I am still in that peak of working right now, because it is a stressful time in life to have kids and work. And
it is. And I don't have young ones.
You're juggling. And,
yeah. But I do work for the government, so that's
a little stressful.
It is. And so it is and it isn't. Like, I truly am. Like, if I come in one day and my stuff's not going to work, I'm going to be like, okay, well, God's got other plans for me, because I guess I'm done here. I don't know. I hope not, because I do love what I do.
But again,
but
your paths go a certain way for a certain reason.
It does. It truly does.
I do believe that.
And I showed you, I haven't shared with anybody, but I showed you my thought thing this morning that I had, making some new things. And I don't know, something's just.
And that's where I do believe, like, the God has a plan situation. Even in, like, mundane things, sometimes I try to tell myself that, because there was actually a few weeks ago, I left for work really early in the morning, and I forgot something that I just got the day before to use for work. And I got out of my neighborhood, and I was like, ugh. And I literally debated. I was like, do I go back? And I'm like, well, I bought it, so yes, I go back. So I turned around, I went back to my house, and I was on the interstate and got deadlocked for a car accident for over an hour for a semi, and I think there was 2 other cars. And I think one person was like majorly injured, but they were fine. But like in that moment, I was like,
that's why
I would have been further ahead, probably that many minutes, had I not flipped back around. So just like those things, I don't know. I just think about, like,
100%
you take those negative moments in your life, and you're like, there's probably a reason.
And that's exactly, and you do have to sit back and be like, even when I've gotten to the point, not that I'm usually late for work, but if I'm going to be even 2 minutes late, like, I don't like to be late, but if I know, because for whatever reason, just had a rough morning, but I will message somebody. But, I don't speed anymore, as far as, like, feeling like I have to get there right. Like, I'm like, it's okay.
I was sitting there, and you've moved 2 miles in 45 minutes or whatever. And there were moments where I would get, like, really angry inside. And I'm like, okay, there's something going on up there that's a lot worse than me sitting right
But not everybody can go in that mindset. And
that's true.
And that's, I think you have to teach yourself that.
That's true, because I probably wouldn't have been that way 10 years ago.
100%. Yeah, exactly. We don't always think about, people were, when we had the ice storm. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you were without power at any point in time.
Our neighborhood, we're all buried, pretty much, our power lines.
Yeah, but some people didn't have that luck, and we were one of those people. But, like, we have a generator, so we're, grateful for that. But you sit and think about those who, from Hurricane Helene, like these are people who are still living in tents.
Which is gut-wrenching.
Right?
And that's what, like, we try to teach our kids every day. Like, you should be grateful that there's a warm bed all these things. And then when they see the homeless, like in Carbondale, I mean, it is a good lesson for them, though, especially when it's really cold. Like, I feel awful for those people.
Yeah.
But it is a good kind of a reminder.
But people would get on Facebook and be so mad. Well, here we go again. And I'm thinking,
perspective.
So what? 24 hours versus people have been how many days now? No house, no nothing. Perspective. Like, it is. And it's hard to get there.
It is.
And you can't make somebody do it.
No, you still have moments where you get the anger.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
And you get the old things that come back, but being able to reground, I think, and tell yourself those things.
It's good for yourself.
It is.
Another thing, I don't know if I said this in my head, I said it, but Kaylin was another young girl, that I had on here because she was inspirational. And so I asked her, what do you do for yourself? Like, and so she says, I will take a deep breath and I will say, it is well, and blow out with my soul.
I like that. See, those
right?
finding moment for yourself,
that,
no matter what it is.
Kaylin Grace, that's who the credit goes to, because I do that now.
Find the
moments.
I
was like,
you can find something that'll reground you in those moments, I promise.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes it's trial and error to figure out what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I am so glad. Hopefully we can do it again.
How long did we talk?
Girl, 5:01.
It is not.
It is too. 5:01.
Wow.
I told you it flies by.
It does. I thought it was way
My goal at some point too, I would love to, I love this environment, but like a round table of just people. It doesn't have to be just ladies, but I know probably, everybody's like, this is a lady show. I don't think it is. I think you learn from, we've had guys on here.
Men just aren't always open to to this stuff.
Right. But just a round table of talk, you know, and
I'll tell my story, and
my paths are crossing with all sorts of people for a reason. There is a reason for all of it, and I'm just grateful for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we got to chat again.
Absolutely. So now Pastor Matt Brown gets this credit. I don't read the whole thing, but the stuff that I'm just like, yes. So, you ready? Okay, Jill. You go nowhere by coincidence or accident. Where you are going, God is sending you.
You're going to make me cry.
And where you are, He has placed you. God has a purpose for your life right where you are. Christ Jesus, who indwells you, has something that He wants to do in and through your life right where you are.
Really? You're going to bring tears all the way out at the very end?
Believe this. Go in His love and in His grace and in His power. And then I like to add, remember to invest in yourself.
Well.
See why I love this so much?
Pretty good.
Yeah. So I like to end.
I like that. And I agree with all of those things.
Absolutely. Every Sunday. I know it's coming, but it gets me every single time. Yeah, so you just never know. You just never know.
No. I like it. Solidifies, though, the things that I think. So.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to hug you online.
Fun. We're going to have to do it again.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please share. Hi, Gracie. You got on late.
Slacker.
Yeah, loser. Please share. And, gosh, thank you so much for having this grow. Again, I don't know what the plan is, but I love it so far, and I hope it just continues. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Okay, bye-bye.